Hello and welcome back to take two of the GRN podcast live, guys. We're going to go for take two. We'll start again. We'll talk about things. We'll discuss things, and hopefully the internet will be better this time. It seems to be holding out better. I've had a relocation, a move as well, and I've also been joined by my best pal as well. There's my best pal there. Look, he's joined me as well, although he doesn't look particularly interested. Let's hope that's how Celtic are on the pitch after the game, the next three games. Let's hope they're all lying on the pitch looking distraught like that. Anyway, guys, a bit of housekeeping first. Thank you for joining the GRN podcast, which is Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live. Guys, this is a relatively new channel. Just started it in February. Already up to 301 subs. Thank you so much for your phenomenal support. Yes, I am English. I do apologise for the fact that I am English. I know that it's a contention to some Scots. I just want to say that. But please don't hold that against me. I have been a Rangers fan since 1987. I started supporting the team when Graham Souness became manager. I was 9 years old at the time. One of the biggest reasons I came across to and got interested in Rangers was Chris Woods. At the time, I played in goal. Big Chris Woods fan. Loved Chris Woods. He was my favourite keeper at the time. So he went to Rangers. I decided to support Rangers. Loved Terry Butcher, Trevor Stephen, Gary Stevens, Andy McCoy, Stephen Durant, Robert Fleck, all those players at that time just got me into it, fell in love with the club, and have been a Rangers fan ever since. So if you've just found this podcast, if you are a diehard Rangers fan, if you are always shouting "We are the people" and no surrender, and you hate green and white, then this is the place for you. Because not only do you get live podcasts, and they're going to be picking up over the next few weeks, a good few per week, and we've got guests. I'll talk about that shortly. But please hit that sub, ring that notification, then you won't miss out on any of the fabulous content that we bring you here on GRN Podcast Live. Anyway, guys, one last bit of promotion before we get on with the talk. We'll get on with the Rangers talk tonight. On Sunday at 7:05 here UK time, that I've got joining me for a podcast, Victoria Searle, the fantastic Victoria Searle, is going to come on and talk all things Glasgow Rangers with me. We're going to look back at the Motherwell game. We're going to look at the out-of-contract players. We're going to look at so much content together, and it'd be great to have Victoria on. Victoria and I are talking about working together a little bit more in the future, maybe, if time is allowing for both of us, and hopefully, if it works well, obviously, if Victoria likes doing this and everything, so it'd be great to have her on board. So, guys, please come back on Sunday. Come and watch myself and Victoria talking all things Glasgow Rangers. Anyway, let's talk through lots of issues. There's so much to talk about tonight here on the GRN podcast. We've got the ticketing situation to do with the old firm, which is a controversial one amongst some. We've got the Kyle or Kylie Fox, I'm not quite sure what she's called, buyout. We have got the Raskin and Tillman situation with their injuries or lack of injuries. We have got also information to do with, obviously, striker links. There's been a number of strikers linked and how that may impact on the future of Alfie. And obviously, as well, we've got a little bit to talk about with the game against Motherwell coming up tomorrow. Obviously, a 12:30 kickoff at Fair Park. And we go away to Motherwell, obviously. I always remember I used to watch a show called Soccer AM here in the UK. And there was a host on that guy called Tim Lovejoy. And he used to love Motherwell. That was only because he thought their nickname was the Mothers. And that's why I think it was some sort of connotation for you, mother, you know what. Anyway, let's first of all, evening Aldo in the live chat, guys. If you're in the live chat, please hit me up. Let me know where you're watching from. Hopefully we'll get a few more people join as the podcast goes on. I know they might have been slightly affected by the fact I've had to restart this pod tonight. Anyway, let's talk all things Glasgow Rangers. Let's start off by talking about the ticketing situation. Apologies if you heard this on the first, or you kind of heard it through the horrible internet on the first one. But obviously, it's been decided today that there will be no away fans at any of the Old Firm games coming up. There will be no Rangers fans at Parkhead, which I don't think will be any great loss, considering how horrible Parkhead actually is, and also the fact that we have got we're going to have no Celtic fans in Ibrox, which is a good thing because we wouldn't want that green and white shower. Let's face it, you'd have to sterilise the seats after they leave. Nicholas Moore, my good buddy from Rabble, hello, good evening. I'm from South Wales Loyal, good evening. Aldo McNaught says Soccer AM was class back in the day. Yeah, with Tim Lovejoy and Hell's Bells, used to love it, never used to miss. Nicholas, my man, thanks for joining. And Nicholas, no problem, Aldo. I think Victoria is also watching from Canada. If you are, Victoria, let me know in the live chat. It'd be great to hear from you. Anyway, so obviously the situation is that there will be no away fans at either of the two Old Firm games. Now, obviously, there's an argument for both sides here, isn't there? You know, the fact that at times you have a derby situation where it's kind of, I've been, I follow Sunderland south of the border, and I've been to loads of Sunderland Newcastle games at the Stadium of Light and at St James's, and you get a very nice atmosphere. You get not a nice atmosphere. You get an atmosphere there, don't you, between the two sets of fans, and obviously taking that away, taking that away, it sort of takes something away, perhaps from the atmosphere of the game, a bit of the intensity, but part of me thinks that doesn't really count with the Old Firm. The Old Firm is unique, isn't it? It's kind of unique. I know you've got El Clasico in Spain, you've got the Super Clasico in Argentina, you've got the Derby della Italia in Italy between Inter and Juventus, but you've also got a situation where, here there is a real sense of hatred. It really does. We hate them, they hate us, and perhaps, for public safety, it is the best thing out there. Vlogging with Victoria there. Hello, Victoria. Good to have you on board all the way from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Wow, that's amazing to be there today. Anyway, so I think, if you look at it from a public safety side of it, if you look at it from that side of things, it is perhaps the right decision to make. In addition to that, it enables, when it comes to the home game at Ibrox, it gives us the opportunity to give more Rangers fans an actual chance to actually watch the game. More Rangers fans, the better, So as Nicholas Moore says here, no away fans for Old Firm games is the best solution all around. All this means more of our own can get tickets. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a key thing, It means that, I know Parkhead, obviously, we don't get any tickets, but let's face it, who'd want to go there? But it means for the Ibrox game, there are more fans. We haven't got to move people for safety reasons or security reasons. We don't give them, as we've done in the past, the whole of that Broom Loan stand behind our goalkeeper. We don't give them that option. And, I was listening to Rangers Rabble. I love Rangers Rabble. I'm a member there. Hopefully get on there some point. I have been talking to Jersnet as well, and Heart and Hand, and also Derek Clark as well from the Rangers News, Rangers Review. But they whilst they were talking about a situation, one thing occurred to me, when the ground, when we get to Parkhead and it's quiet when we score. When we beat them at Parkhead, it's going to be silent. It's going to be like a graveyard in there. And how great is it going to look as well? If we get 2 or 3 goals up at Parkhead and they're exiting the stadium and the stadium is nice, just full of green seats, it would be fantastic. Nicholas says, hello, Victoria, remember you from the True Blue Loyal days. And Aldo McNaught says, yeah, you're stuck behind scaffolding, let's be honest, at Sharkhead. Yeah, so you're paying a lot of money for a ticket where you get a pretty crap view. So at the end of the day, is that any great loss? No. And I think, like we said, the plus points for this are, number one, it's public safety. You're hopefully going to get less trouble around the grounds. I've been up to Scotland a fair few times, in Glasgow. It's in certain areas of Glasgow are a no-go zone. You can't go to that on an Old Firm day. The police obviously are on high alert. It is a situation where members of the public as well need to be protected. So that is probably the best thing there. And as has been said by Aldo and Nicholas, it is a situation where we get to give more tickets to more of our own for the Ibrox game, and more people are going to get to see Rangers beat Celtic. Well, that's what we want to do anyway, isn't it? Beat Celtic. And I think, these next 3 games are absolutely vital. At the end of the day, I know that the squad will undergo a revamp over the summer. I know that Michael Beale spoke in his press conference yesterday about the fact that he's already identified players that he wants to bring in. And we'll talk about the strikers a bit later on in the pod. And he's been linked with goalkeepers as well, like Woodman and Butland, for example. But at the end of the day, I know we're going to have new players here, and I know players will move on. I know some of those out of contract players aren't going to be back. I know McGregor's probably going to be gone, and Davis, and et cetera, et cetera. But we need to lay down a marker. We need to give them a bloody nose. We need to say to them, we are not going anywhere. We are not going quietly into the night. We are not giving up. And you are not winning this league at Canter. You are not walking it. And you are not having a treble, because we are going to stop you. And we're going to win those 3 games. And we're going to smash you in the face in all those 3 games. And you know what the thing I really want to do? I want to wipe that smug, smirky grin off Ange Postoglou's face. He pisses me off. He really does. With that grin of his on his face, his Australian muppet. Anyway, Ultimate Knight says, like and subscribe. People share the pod around. Let's get numbers up. Phone. Thank you very much. Although, yeah, I'm on 301 now. I'm growing. I've grown over 100 in the last week, which is fantastic. Safety dictates no away fans. Yeah, and at the end of the day, we've got to put safety first. You know, there's been examples where Celtic fans have thrown fireworks into the ground, into the Rangers end, and people have been deafened by them. There was a young boy who was deafened. I'm not sure if he got his hearing back in the end, but he was deafened by a firework being thrown by a Celtic fan. I mean, we all know that Celtic fans are brainless morons. We know that. We know they're unwashed. We know they dodge soap. We know all that. We know that's the truth. We know they don't like working. But, at the end of the day, that is completely out of order and, never should be happening. We've got to put public safety first. Okay, so let's talk about our next thing that we're going to talk about tonight, which is the proposed takeover or investment, however you want to put it, into Glasgow Rangers by this lady here, Kylie Fox. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name, but that's what it seems to be. She is an American businesswoman who owns a company called KRF Capital, which means it is a capital investment firm, and she is linked with several hedge funds. So it says, as the headline said there from the Daily Record, during the week, Kyle Fox ends Rangers takeover bid after Ibrox shareholder was given proposal short shrift. And that was reported in the Daily Record and in the Scotsman. So it was reported in multiple sources. Aldem McNaught says, I got hit with a pie at one Old Firm game. Was raging, so was I. What a waste of a pie. Where I come from, that's like a sin, throwing a pie. You'd burn in hell for that. Anyway, so Kylie Fox. Now, Kylie Fox wanted to buy 75% of the club. That's what she wanted to buy. I think it was 75 million for 75%. The thing was that only 15 to 16 million of that was actually money from KRF Capital, her money. The rest of it was coming from hedge funds, capital investment firms, and multiple sources. She wanted 2 seats on the board. She wanted an anti-dilution right. She wanted access to the data room. She wanted access to management interviews. She wanted a lot of access to the club. And Douglas Park, who is the chairman now, I know Douglas Park is someone who divides opinion. And, whatever you think about Douglas Park, I suppose one positive is the club is very sound financially. We are not going to be in a position where we're going to go into bankruptcy or into debt again at this moment in time. Obviously, there is a question about the future, competing with Celtic, buying in the best players. Do we have enough money for investment in players in the future? That is an ongoing argument, and that's a discussion for another day. But, she's been involved for 9 months, and I mean, it didn't start on the best footing. Apparently, Rangers threatened to sue her, or did. She was after she used Rangers club symbol for a bit of advertising, which wasn't great. Apparently, which wasn't great at all. Nicholas said we don't want them anywhere near the club. Although apparently she said they were having negotiations for 9 months, but that wasn't actually true. Something fishy about the whole thing for me. Agreed, Aldo. Nicholas says people like her just want to screw the club over, and that says agree, Nicholas. Yeah. Now I think this is the thing. The fact that she was offering 75 million, but like I said, 16 million of that was her money. 60 odd million was coming from other sources. Now, when you get involved with capital investment firms, with capital funds, with hedge funds, they are out for one thing, and they're out for profit. They want to make profit. Now, as we know, football, you can make profit in football. In the English Premier League makes an awful lot of money. If you're in the Champions League, you can make an awful lot of money. But when a club isn't making a vast, substantial money and isn't giving a big return to its investors, they asset strip. They sell off things. They sell players. They sell training grounds. They sell facilities. They sell lots of different things off. Now, do we really want someone involved with our club a club that's fought to get back over the last 11, 12 years to where we are today, that we are in a position where we've played Champions League football, we've been to Europa League finals, we have won our 55th title, we are reigning Scottish Cup holders, we fought back from adversity. Do we want to go back to a situation where we're having someone come in who is only interested in the money? Now, look, I don't know the truth about this. I'm not a business. I work in business. I don't know a great deal about it. I'm an assistant deputy manager for a firm, well-known German firm. But at the end of the day, we don't want people who are going to come in, who are going to asset strip, who are going to sell our best talent, who are going to sell off our training grounds and sell off our facilities and our logistics and our infrastructure to gain a profit when they're not turning a profit on the pitch through Champions League money. Look, we know that the SPL doesn't overturn a massive amount of money. It doesn't get a huge TV deal like the Premier League. It doesn't get a huge TV deal like some of the European leagues. Yes, we get Champions League money, but at the end of the day, we don't turn over the same amount of cash as a lot of those teams down south. And that means that there is always a risk that these firms are going to come in, they're going to asset strip. Now, that's not saying that I want this board to stay forever. I do think there are problems with this board, and I don't want to talk about that now. I will talk about that at a different date. Aldo says they would sell your granny. They would sell your granny and then charge you for the privilege. Stuart Keane says, evening, everyone. Evening, Stuart. How are you, buddy? And Aldo says, Stuart. So, so at the end of the day, I just think, there is another side to this whole thing. Rangers as a club has a very good reputation as a club. We are a big club. And she is involved with some pretty dodgy politics back in the United States of America. We don't want to be associated with that. We want to keep politics out of it. We are not a club that wants to get involved in that. There's enough going on. So at the end of the day, we definitely don't want her being part of our club. Nicholas Moore says in the live chat, sounds like she's part of the woke brigade too, and I hate that mob. Yeah, we all hate that mob. The politically correct mob ruin everything, don't they? Vlogging with Victoria says, we definitely don't want her. When being with a club like Rangers, you're part of a team and a family. She's not one of us, and we need someone who is one of the people, and that's how we will succeed. 100% agree with you, Victoria, on that. Absolutely spot on. She's certainly not that. Nicholas Moore, Stuart mate, yeah, and Aldo agrees with Victoria in the live chat. Guys, if you write live chat comments, I will always bring them up on screen. I believe that, when you're doing a podcast live, it's not just about you and your guests talking about the club. It's also about you being involved. I never ever knowingly ignore live chat. So please keep these comments coming in. Thank you. Nicholas as well says definitely Victoria. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I think we are better off out of her, better off away from her. And the fact that, we haven't let her become involved is perhaps, something that the board need credit for. Like I said, the board, we're very quick to criticize Douglas Park. We're very quick to criticize, Ross Wilson, the people involved with the board. But at the end of the day, this club needs to be stable. It needs to be in a situation where it is going to survive for the long term. After all, we are only here for a short time. This club will be here forever, and we need to leave, that legacy for our children, our children's children. And we don't want people like her coming in and stripping our club of assets and selling our best players. That's not what we want to do at all. Now, if down the line someone comes in who is prepared to invest money, who's prepared to put the club's best interests at heart and build this club up even further and spend money on players, to really put us in a dominant position in the same way, for example, the Qataris have with Paris Saint-Germain, in that league they dominate, that's great. That would be absolutely amazing. But, that is something pie in the sky thinking at this stage, isn't it? It really is pie in the sky thinking. So let's move on, shall we now? Let's move on to a bit about, obviously, some injury news that came out of the club today. Now, obviously, Michael Beale talked in his press conference the other day about the fact that Borna Barisic will likely be missing on Saturday due to the fact that his wife is about to give birth. She's a couple of days late, and Borna is in Croatia, apparently, where he's also got international duty. So obviously it is highly, highly unlikely that Borna Barisic will play tomorrow, which means it is highly likely that Ridvan Yilmaz will play for Rangers on Saturday. Well, that's what Michael Beale appeared to suggest, didn't he? But he also said, you never know, you could be surprised, and you might find something of a surprise out there. But we all know how Michael Beale likes to play with the media in terms of the team selections and things like that. He said that before going to Tynecastle. He talked about perhaps playing Cholak and Alfie up front, and obviously didn't. So, it is a bit of a tactic, and he's not going to give away too much, is he? In a news conference, he's not going to give Motherwell, the tactics and the team selection and the formations and give them an opportunity to get ahead on us, is he? That's not how he works. So, you got to take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, Ridvan Yilmaz is likely to start. Now, there's been headlines in the papers today about the future of Ridvan Yilmaz at Rangers, that he is preparing to return on loan to Besiktas. Now, reading some other bits and pieces coming out of the club, coming out from Michael Beale and others, that looks utter pish. It looks rubbish. It does not look true at all. It looks like a situation where it is paper talk, rumours, speculation, and Ridvan Yilmaz will be going nowhere. Yes, obviously, he's got to displace Borna, who is a very talented player. But obviously, Michael Beale has plans for him. He is certainly someone that Michael Beale thinks has a role to play in this team, and he's going nowhere. I can pretty much 99.9% say that he is going nowhere, and he will be at Rangers for the rest of the season and next season, ready to compete for his place in the team. There's obviously there's always that never say never, isn't there? But I think obviously this rumor is just another bit of paper talk, which obviously is something that's always going to happen. Now, the other news, obviously, one of the pieces of news about the team for tomorrow is obviously about Nicholas Raskin. Now, Nicholas Raskin obviously joined in January with Todd Cantwell, and like I've said on multiple videos, and I've said on podcasts, and I've said on I've put in the live chat on the Rabble and on Heart in Hand and on Rangers Review and all those others. It really does show that Michael Beale has a good eye for a player, doesn't he? He's brought us in Cantwell, he's brought us in Raskin, and at the end of the day, they are two quality players, absolute quality players. So I really do think that that Michael Beale needs a lot of credit for that, and that does really show as promising for the future, doesn't it? The fact that Michael's been able to identify Todd Cantwell, he's been able to identify Nicholas Raskin, he's brought them in, they've both been a great success, and that bodes well for the future. For Rangers, the players that we could potentially bring in over the summer, if we bring in 3 or 4 quality starters, the same standards as Raskin and Cantwell, well, absolutely fantastic. And that'll be a team more than able to, I think, smash Celtic next season. Aldo McNaught makes a brilliant point in the live chat. He says, we aren't going to pay $5 million for a sub. No, we're not. That would be a bit ridiculous to pay $5 million for a sub. Anyway, so obviously Nicholas Raskin, news about him. Now, apparently he had a problem with his quad when he came off when he came off against who was it? Oh, I've forgotten, against Wraith, sorry, in the last match day. He didn't train Thursday. However, he is looking like he will link up with the Belgian under-21 squad. So it will be touch and go whether he is able to play tomorrow. Now, it may be, obviously, with the international break coming up, that Michael Beale chooses not to risk him, and that we may play Kamara or Lundstrom or someone else may come into the team for him, against Motherwell. I think it's unlikely that an away game that he's going to go with Cantwell and Tillman on the same team starting. I think that is a highly unlikely thing for Michael Beale to do. So, Raskin is someone who has made a huge difference to this team. I think Raskin is fantastic. If you look at Nicholas Raskin, what does he do so well that perhaps John Lundstrom does off? I mean, John Lundstrom's like a crab. He goes sideways all the time, sideways, and slows the play down. But if you look at Raskin's first intention is get the ball forward, run forward, pass it forward, move it forward, get the momentum going, get it up the field, move it up, carry it up the field. He's always wanting to go forward, and that's something that Cantwell wants to do as well. Very proactive, very aggressive, very positive in the way he plays, and that's something that's really benefited Rangers. And look, I'm not pretending that him not being there won't be a loss. Of course it will. He's a very talented footballer. So yeah, Raskin is a doubt. Obviously, the other bit of news was around Malik Tillman. Tillman is fit, has trained all week, and will be available in some part for this game. Whether or not he will play from the start is unknown, but he certainly, it's great to have Malik back and available for selection. I see him coming off the bench at some stage and making an impact, hopefully, against Motherwell on Saturday. What have we got in the live chat? Nicholas Moore says, Raskin and Campbell have been brilliant signings for the club. Yeah, Nicholas, absolutely. They've been fabuloso signings for the club. I'm sure Victoria will have an opinion on that on Sunday as well. Let's move on as well. Obviously, like I said to you, it links quite nicely into what we were talking about, signings, the fact that, Beale clearly has an eye for a player, in terms of his view of Raskin and Cantwell, and bringing those two guys into the club and the positive impact they've had. Cantwell's another one. He's very positive. He's very much about going forward, trying a trick, passing the ball forward, pushing it forward. I mean, I think one thing he's got to work on is his goals output. I don't think that's there at this moment in time, but he's certainly somebody who likes that very positive play. And, all credit to Todd Cantwell for doing that. That is very, very good. And Cantwell is a very good signing. Now, Rangers obviously have been linked with a number of goalkeepers in the past. Obviously, like I said at the start, Woodman and Butland. But there's links this week have all been over strikers. There's been 2 strikers heavily linked with Rangers in a number of media sources, not just newspapers, but also websites like Ibrox News and Football Transfer Tavern and a number of sites down south as well. The first name that was linked with Rangers this week was Joel Pirro, who is a Dutch striker from Swansea, someone with a good goals return, very good player. I've actually seen him play this season. He is a very talented player. And obviously, as we know, Rangers have a proud tradition of Dutch players at the club, don't they? They, obviously Van Vossen, the De Boer brothers, the late great, God rest his soul, Fernando Rickson, Waterus. Oh, guys, I could go on all night. And I've missed loads, and I do apologise, but I don't want to be. If I sit here and list all the Dutch players, we'll be still there about midnight talking about them, won't we? But there's been some fantastic. Giovanni van Bronckhorst, of course. There's been some brilliant Dutch players down the years here at this club. And obviously, Joel Pirro may be a player who can continue that tradition on, hopefully. The other name that was linked today, heavily linked, is someone I know a lot about. That is Josh Maja. Josh Maja is currently playing in Ligue 2 for Girondins de Bordeaux. He's a pretty decent striker. He's quick. He's got 2 good feet. He's a bit of a fox in the box, but he can also score from outside the box and get separation. Is a decent player. His goals to games ratio doesn't always reflect what he does. He was someone who made a lot of substitution appearances when he was at Sunderland, where he started his career. But he is certainly someone who I think would be a decent player from Rangers and would probably guarantee us 25 to 30 goals a season. Now, obviously, with these persistent links we are having to strikers like Pirro, like Maja, you've got a situation where that obviously would beg the question is that who goes, who stays, who misses out. Do you think they use the Sands money for Raskin and Cantwell? It's entirely possible, RRM. I don't know for a fact on that. I will look into it and research it, but I there's a good chance they did that. Now, definitely, probably, I think there's a very, very good chance, and Nicholas agrees. Nicholas does think as well that they use the money for that. That I'll talk about money in a minute, but I think there is, an intention that I think that we are looking for a striker, whether that's to supplement what we've got or to replace what we've got. Now, Alfie, there's a big lot of talk about Alfie and about Alfie's future at the club and about what the future holds. Michael Beale said in his news conference the other day that, they would, for the moment, focus on the season and focus on Alfie's play and focus on what Alfie's doing on training field and on game day. And then they would have a chat at the end of the season. And if he chooses to stay, great. And if he chooses to move on, he'll get a hug and he will go. I think that will be decided at the end of the season. Now, Victoria and I are going to have a proper chat about Alfie on Sunday. So join us again for that on Sunday, 7:05, guys. Remember, here on GRN Podcast Live here on Glasgow Rangers Nation, me and Victoria Searle. So it may be that Alfie is moving on. And obviously that will free up wages, and then that money can be ploughed back into the team, and that money can be helped to invest in the likes of Maja, the likes of Pirro, maybe for the club. I mean, this is all pie in the sky. And the problem at this stage of the season, as you're running towards the end of the season, new manager, there is a common knowledge, isn't there, that, Rangers need strikers. The only issue you've obviously got is the fact that as soon as you start looking at players south of the border, prices go up. English clubs are notorious for overinflating the price of players. Even squad players are ridiculously expensive down there. And if they're English, in particular, they are exceptionally expensive for no good reason. Nicholas Moore says, Alfie's time is up at the club. I think, there's a lot of Rangers fans agree with you, Nicholas, that his time has come to an end, that it's time to draw a line under a storied career. The fact that he will be our top goal scorer in Europe, so many fantastic memories, goals against Celtic celebrations. There's been some bad moments as well, the sendings off. But like I said, Victoria and I were having a good chat about Alfie on Sunday. But yeah, those striker links, very interesting links. But there is definitely, I think, a feeling that the club will be bringing in strikers over the summer, given all these links to strikers and, of course, to goalkeepers. Obviously, our opponents on Saturday are Motherwell. And if you look at the league table, I don't like looking at the league table, but let's have a look at the league table all the same. Obviously, Rangers won our last 5 games. Obviously, outstanding form, unbeaten under Michael Beale since he came into the club. And, you actually look at our record this season, and it's not at all bad. Not at all bad at all. I mean, I know we're 9 points behind the scum, but 22 wins, 4 draws to only 2 defeats. And it's, most seasons that would be enough actually to have you top of the league. Rangers could theoretically, I read somewhere, still finish on over 100 points, but not win the league. Definitely. But so Rangers have obviously won their last 5. You look at Motherwell currently resigning 9th, changed their manager. Their last 5 games, they've won 3, lost 1, drawn 2. And if we'll have a little look at that record in a minute. Victoria says, the things I want to say on Morelos. Can't wait to talk about that. Victoria, I can't wait to hear what you've got to say about Alfie. It's going to be fantastic to chat with you. And when you look at Motherwell's record over the last few games, this includes a Scottish Cup game here. They lost, obviously, 3-1 to Wraith Rovers, who then went on to lose to Rangers. They beat St Mirren in the league 2-1. They beat Hearts 2-0 at home. They then drew 1-1 away at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock. They then lost away again against Ross County. So they're not so great away from home, but at home they've won their last 2, I think even 3 home games they've won. So their home form is not bad. Kevin Van Veen is about their best player, someone that the back 2 of Davis and Goldson will have to keep an eye on. Certainly, he's pacey. He's a decent player. Definitely someone they're going to have to keep on looking at. Nicholas Moore says in the live chat, he's been a great player for the club, but he's been poor for a while and his heart's not in it anymore. Stuart Keane in the live chat says, Beale said before he knows the striker he can get only available in the summer. I think he wants Cameron Archer, who is at Villa. He's currently on loan at Middlesbrough, Stuart. So it may be that Cameron Archer is someone he's very interested. Cameron Archer is a very good young English striker. The problem could be over the fee and what Aston Villa may be looking at, so 6 million plus for him. And that obviously begs the question, what have the board got? Are the board going to invest in the team? Are the board going to give the money to Michael Beale? Is Ross Wilson going to pick the right players? And are we going to be positioned to invest in these players? That's going to be a big question. Obviously, I've heard that there's been £5 to £6 million ring fence for Malik Tillman in the summer. That is a strong rumour coming out of the club at this moment in time. But certainly there. Now, in terms of Motherwell, last game they lined up like this. They play a back 3. Kelly in goal, Casey, Butcher, McGinn. Midfield 4 of Furlong, Slattery, Goss, and Johnston. Spittle behind their front 2 of Kevin Van Veen, who was a decent player, and Jordan Abika, former Reading player, from I think Chelsea youth product as well. So they line up as a 3-4-1-2. There's been talk, hasn't there, of at Nicholas Moore, he has, but it is time for a move. Correct. Well done, RM. Like I said, Victoria and I are going to have a big in-depth chat. So Stuart, so Nicholas, Aldo, and RM, please come back on Sunday. Watch the live chat. Come into the live chat with me and Victoria. We're going to have a big chat about Alfie then. So this game is one again. It's a must win. Now, will Rangers go 3 at the back? There was some mention of that from Michael Beale in his press conference. Maybe a situation where we obviously have McGregor in goal, a back 3 of Suter, Goldson, Goldson, and Davis. Midfield 4 of Tav, Jack, Raskin if fit, and Ridvan as a left wing back. So Tav and Ridvan as wing backs. Then put Cantwell in behind Kent and Cholak, or in behind Sakala and Cholak, or Kent in behind there. There's multiple different ways that he could actually play it. Or is Michael Beale going to go with the tried and tested of 4-3-3, playing obviously with the Tav, Goldson, Davis, and Ridvan as your back 4. Cantwell, Jack, I think has to come back into the team. Raskin or possibly Glenn Kamara may start if Raskin is not fit. Fashion, Cholak, and Kent, with Tillman coming on from the bench. I think that is a possibility, a strong possibility for tomorrow's game. Rangers FC News, I'm here. We are the people. Rangers FC News, good of you to join us. We are approaching the end, but thank you for coming on board. Now, Rangers FC News, please make sure you come back on Sunday. I know I keep plugging this, but it's going to be fantastic to with Victoria Sir. We're going to talk all from the World game. We'll look back at the game. Big chat strikers, there's our contract, and a big chat obviously about Alfie. Please come back on Sunday for that. But it's a game tomorrow that is a game we are more than capable of winning if Rangers play to our potential, if we start to be a little bit more clinical in front of goal. And that's something Michael Beale talked about in his press conference, didn't he? He talked about the fact that against Wraith, we had 24 shots and 18 corners. We but had scored 3 goals, one from a set piece, one for complete fluke, and it was only the last one, which was a fantastic move, a link up, wasn't there? It was Canwell to Hadji to Arfield, and a brilliant goal from Scott Arfield, an superbly engineered goal for Scott Arfield. But overall, if we play to our potential, if we press them, we get in their face, we go after them, we play on the front foot, I think it's a game that the Rangers are more than capable of winning 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 even, putting them to the sword. Hopefully Cholak will get a goal. If not, if Alfie starts, hopefully Alfie will get a goal. But it's more than a game that we are more than capable of winning, in my opinion, on Sunday. Definitely. Live chat, let's have a look what we've got. We've got RM says Rangers will win, but it'll be a struggle. I think you're right, RM. I think it will be a tough game. I think the thing you've got to think is that, you look at our last couple of away games against Hearts and Hibs. They've come out and they've tried to play us. They've tried to go at us. They've tried to get at us. Particularly Hibs did, left it open for us, and that was exactly what they played in. They played into our hands, didn't they? And that was what we're looking at. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a situation, I think, where Motherwell are going to be a lot more conservative. They're not going to come out and play as much. It's going to be a job to break them down. I think that's going to be the way we have to play. I don't think we'll be counter-attacking tomorrow. I think it'll be a case of us having to try to get through them, to beat a block, that low block they're going to put on us. Even though they're at home, I don't think they're going to come out and try. So I think it will be tough, but I do think Rangers will win. Nicholas Moore says, I'm very confident of a good result tomorrow. Vlogging with Victoria says, what do you think the score will be tomorrow? Predictions, I will go with a smooth 3-1. Nicholas Moore says 3-0. Cantwell, first goal. Stuart Keane says 4-0 Rangers. My prediction was, and I'm going to stick with my prediction that I made, which agrees with what Nicholas said. I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers. I'm going to go goals from, first goal from Cholak, goal for Cantwell, and a goal for Tav as well, but not from a penalty. Not from a penalty. I think Tav's going to score, but not from a penalty. I think he'll find himself in the box somehow, and I think he'll score not from a penalty, because we all know that he scored 755,233 penalties in his career. But it's time for him to get a goal from open play. Let's hope that. Rangers FC News, I'll come to your prediction in a moment. RM says, you're right, they see teams try and play us, and what happens, so they'll go for the low block, which we struggle with. You can't blame them. Exactly. They'll have looked at what happened against Hearts. They'll have looked at what happened against Hibs, and they're going to know that the thing that we come across in the Premiership, the Scottish Premiership, that we don't come across obviously in the Champions League or in the Europa League, is the fact that these teams know they're inferior to us. They know that they haven't got the talent that we've got, the skilled players that we've got, and they know that on a given day they cannot come out and go toe-to-toe with us. It's just not possible. The days have passed, when the Aberdeens, the Dundee Uniteds of this world would come out and go head-to-head, go toe-to-toe with us. And when Alex Ferguson was manager of Aberdeen, for example, or the Jim McLean days at Dundee United, they're over. They are long gone now, and teams know they can't go toe-to-toe with the Old Firm anymore. And that's why the Old Firm, when the Old Firm come to town, you see them play like the away team. They put the low block on, they try and stop us, they try and hit us on the break, get one goal and win 1-0, or go for the 0-0 draw. There is a lack of ambition, because you can't blame them, really. I think, if we were in the same position, we would do the same, wouldn't we? If we were playing Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich, you might find Rangers try to do the same thing to them that Kilmarnock do to us. That's just the way things work out, isn't it? Rangers FC News says 2-0 to Rangers. Stuart Keane says Tav is 4 goals away from reaching 100. Again, I know Tav is someone who divides opinion. There's those that think he's class and belongs in the Hall of Fame, and there's some that don't really like him as a player. But the fact that as a right back, he is 4 goals away from breaking 100 is absolutely superb. Well done, Tav, for that. Well done. And you got to remember that Tav's been with us since the dark days, and he's come through those dark days, and he deserves these days in the sunshine now that he's getting. And overall, I've got to say, thank you to him for the service. Well, guys, I'm going to call it a show there. We need to go and walk the dog. Got my daughters here as well. I need to go speak to my daughters. Got 2 daughters who are 15 and 12. Unfortunately, they're Liverpool fans. Do apologise. But that's their mother's fault. There we go. RM says, Hall of Fame aside, Tav has been great for us. Absolutely, TAV has been great for us. I suppose now the Hall of Fame thing is a thing for another day, isn't it? It's a debate for another day. Thank you so much to RRM, to Stuart Keane, to Rangers FC News Now, to Nicholas Moore, to Aldo, to Vlogging with Victoria, to everybody. If I've forgotten your name, I apologize. Who has joined us in the live chat tonight? Been brilliant. And like I always say to you, this is what makes doing podcasts, the best, is having that interaction. I love doing the videos, don't get me wrong, the 6-7 minute videos talking about the news and giving you the daily club news. I love doing them. But what I love most is doing the lives, having interaction with the guys who are out there watching, and to know you're watching and you're interacting is absolutely superb. Thank you very much. Nicholas Moore says, great show, Erin. And Vlogging with Victoria says, thanks for a great pod. See you Sunday, Victoria. Thank you very much. Guys, I'm going to come back Sunday for me and Victoria together, 7:05. Be great to have you on board in the live chat. Please come back. And remember, guys, if you've not yet hit the subscribe button, if you've not yet hit the notification button, please hit that sub, ring that notification bell. This channel is growing really well. We've grown over 100 subs in the last week alone. We were on, I think, 170 something at the start of this week. We are now on 301. So please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and give this video a like and give it a share. It does help, guys. Rangers FC News gives the that heart emoji. And bye, everyone from South Wales Loyal. No surrender, Nicholas. No surrender. We are the people. RRM says, thanks, Owen. And guys, every Saturday we follow. We are the people. No surrender to that green and white scum from across the city. I'll see you Sunday.